Denver's political landscape is ablaze. Mayor Mike Johnston has taken a bold stance against President-elect Trump's proposed deportation plans. Johnston's message is clear: Denver will resist any attempts to round up and deport undocumented immigrants. This puts Denver directly at odds with the incoming administration. It's a high-stakes game of chicken, with the future of countless immigrants hanging in the balance. Johnston's defiance has made him a lightning rod for both praise and criticism. Supporters hail him as a champion of the vulnerable, a beacon of hope in uncertain times. Detractors accuse him of undermining federal law and jeopardizing public safety. The battle lines are drawn, and the nation is watching closely to see how this showdown unfolds. The term sanctuary city has become a rallying cry for both sides of the immigration debate. But what does it actually mean? Sanctuary cities are jurisdictions that limit their cooperation with federal immigration enforcement. They do not actively seek out or detain individuals solely on the basis of their immigration status. Proponents argue that sanctuary cities make communities safer. They say that undocumented immigrants are more likely to report crimes and cooperate with law enforcement if they don't fear deportation. They also point to the economic contributions of immigrants, arguing that mass deportations would devastate local economies. Opponents of sanctuary cities counter that these policies provide safe havens for criminals and undermine the rule of law. They argue that sanctuary cities incentivize illegal immigration and make it harder to track down dangerous individuals. The debate is often heated and emotionally charged, with both sides accusing the other of fear-mongering and distortion. Denver's sanctuary city status is now in the national spotlight. The Trump administration has threatened to withhold federal funding from cities that refuse to comply with immigration enforcement requests. This raises the stakes even higher, forcing cities like Denver to choose between their values and their bottom line. The standoff between Denver and the federal government is a microcosm of a larger national struggle. Across the country, cities and states are pushing back against what they see as federal overreach. This resistance is playing out on a number of fronts, from environmental regulations to healthcare policy. The Trump administration has made it clear that it intends to assert its authority over local governments. It has threatened to withhold funding, file lawsuits, and even deploy federal agents to enforce its will. This has led to a tense and uncertain climate, with both sides bracing for a protracted battle. The legal issues surrounding this conflict are complex and far from settled. The Constitution does not explicitly address the issue of sanctuary cities. This leaves it up to the courts to interpret the balance of power between federal and local governments. The outcome of this legal battle could have profound implications for the future of federalism in the United States. In the meantime, the people of Denver are left to grapple with the uncertainty. Undocumented immigrants live in fear of raids and deportations. Law enforcement officials are caught in the middle, torn between their duty to uphold the law and their desire to protect their communities. And the nation watches, waiting to see what price Denver will pay for its defiance. Section 4. A city divided support and opposition to Johnston's stance. The debate over sanctuary cities has divided Denver. Public opinion polls show a near-even split on the issue, reflecting the deep polarization that exists in the nation at large. On the streets of Denver, this division is palpable. Supporters of Johnston's stance have organized rallies and protests, urging the city to stand firm against the Trump administration's deportation plans. They argue that diversity is Denver's strength and that immigrants make valuable contributions to the city's economy and culture. They see Johnston's defiance as a moral imperative, a stand against injustice and xenophobia. Opponents of sanctuary cities have also made their voices heard. They argue that Johnston's policies are reckless and endanger public safety. They point to cases where undocumented immigrants have committed violent crimes, arguing that sanctuary cities make it harder to keep such individuals off the streets. They accuse Johnston of putting the interests of undocumented immigrants above the safety and well-being of American citizens. The debate is often heated and emotional, with both sides accusing the other of fear-mongering and distortion. Social media has become a battleground for this debate, with hashtags like #sanctuarycity and #enforcethelawtrennding trending on Twitter and Facebook. The issue has even divided families and friends, highlighting the deep rifts that exist in American society today. Section 5. A nation watching: the implications of Denver's defiance. The standoff between Denver and the federal government has far-reaching implications for the future of immigration policy in the United States. Denver is not alone in its defiance. Dozens of cities and states across the country have declared themselves sanctuary jurisdictions, setting the stage for a potential constitutional crisis. The Trump administration has made it clear that it will not tolerate defiance from local governments. It has threatened to withhold federal funding, deploy the National Guard, and even prosecute local officials who refuse to comply with immigration enforcement requests. These threats have been met with defiance from many mayors and governors, who argue that they have a moral obligation to protect their residents, regardless of their immigration status. The legal battle over sanctuary cities is likely to drag on for years, with both sides digging in their heels. The outcome of this battle could have profound implications for the balance of power between federal and local governments. It could also set a precedent for how the federal government interacts with local jurisdictions on a range of other issues, from environmental protection to gun control. The eyes of the nation are on Denver as this drama unfolds. The city's actions could embolden other jurisdictions to resist federal mandates, or they could serve as a cautionary tale about the consequences of defiance. One thing is certain, the outcome of this battle will have a lasting impact on the future of immigration enforcement in the United States.